ever feel like some people just, I don't know, playing by a different set of rules?
Yeah, like they've got this secret playbook for getting ahead, and the rest of us are just kind of, what?
Making it up as we go along.
Exactly.
Well, get this. You sent us something that dives right into that idea, a simplified look at the 48 laws of power.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty intense read, right? I mean, it's practically famous for being this like no holds barred guide to navigating power.
And that's exactly why we're doing a deep dive today. Our source calls it, get this, a way to understand how power actually works, like the mechanics of it. And get this, they use historical examples.
Which is what makes it so interesting, I think. It's not just some, theoretical framework. It's like, here are emperors, military masterminds, even like infamous con artists from history.
And how they use these laws.
Yeah, to get what they wanted, for better or worse, right?
It's like learning a secret language, but instead of words, it's these underlying currents that are always kind of there, shaping how we interact.
And honestly, who couldn't use a little more insight into that, right? Like no matter what you do, where you want to go in life.
It's helpful.
It is. And what I really liked about the source you sent is that it makes it really accessible.
Yeah, it breaks it down.
Breaks down these potentially like complex ideas into something that anyone can grasp, Plus, the stories themselves are
They're juicy.
they're amazing.
But, and here's where things get kind of interesting, the source also points out some, well, potential issues, right? Like ethically speaking,
Yeah.
some of these laws are
Yeah.
a little iffy. For example, there's one that literally says, crush your enemy totally. I mean, that sounds pretty hardcore, right?
It does. And the source, they use this example of a 16th century warlord, which, okay, that makes sense in that context.
But like, how does someone today,
Yeah.
even in a, let's say, less cutthroat field, apply that kind of thinking responsibly? Like, where's that line between strategic maneuvering and just being ruthless?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, that's the big debate around this whole book. Some of these laws, if you take them to the extreme, you're definitely veering into, like, Machiavellian territory.
The ends justify the means, no matter what.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to, think critically about it. The book lays out these laws, but it doesn't tell you how to use them, right?
It's up to you.
Yeah, you got to decide how to interpret and apply them ethically, responsibly.
Which brings us to how people are actually using this book, right?
Right.
I mean, it's almost become this, like, cultural touchstone. People reference it all over the place. The source even mentions how it's become, get this, popular among successful people across all sorts of fields.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Big time. What are these folks taking away from it? Are they just, like...
Yeah, using it as, like, a cheat code to get ahead?
Yeah.
Or are they finding something more in it?
It's almost like a litmus test,
Yeah.
right? Like, your reaction to this book
Total.
says a lot about your whole philosophy.
It does. Your views on, like, ambition, competition, how you navigate all that. And I think, like the source pointed out, it's definitely sparked a lot of conversations about power dynamics in general, hasn't it?
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
And, how we deal with them, whether it's at work, in our relationships.
In our families, our friendships.
Even just our day-to-day interactions.
Mm.
So let's dive into some specific laws, right?
Let's do it.
The source highlighted a few. And the first one, this one feels so relevant, especially these days, is don't outshine the master.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Talk about office politics, right?
It is. It's all about, well, managing perceptions, understanding those like unspoken dynamics of hierarchy that are always there, It's not about being incompetent.
No.
It's about making sure your accomplishments don't, well, threaten your superiors.
Especially in a really competitive environment.
Right. Think of it like this. You're this, I don't know, brilliant marketing strategist, and your boss takes credit for your, like, totally innovative campaign.
Ooh, that's rough.
What do? Do you call them out, risk, jeopardizing your position, or do you play the long game? Subtly showcase your skills, but let the boss
Take the credit.
yeah, bask in the reflected glory, so to speak.
It's a delicate dance.
It is. It's like that old saying, right? Sometimes it's better to be wise and appear foolish.
Than to be foolish and appear wise.
Exactly.
But, I mean, isn't there something to be said for being transparent, too? Could this backfire if it seems like you're always downplaying your abilities?
Ooh, great point. There's definitely a balance to strike. The law isn't saying, hide your talents. It's more about understanding when and how to, like, strategically
Showcase them.
Yeah. Play the long game, build trust, credibility, all that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, this next one, get ready, because it sounds kind of crazy at first. Use enemies and spies. Wait, hold up. Isn't that a bit extreme?
I know, right? Sounds counterintuitive. But think about it. Sometimes the most valuable insights come from the people who disagree with you. Yeah. Imagine, like, a company bringing in an outside consultant to shake things up. Or a political campaign, that's carefully analyzing what their opponent is doing, what they're saying.
So they can counter it.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that even
Your adversary.
can offer these valuable perspectives, things you might completely miss if you're only surrounded by people who agree with you.
So, like, should I be paying more attention to the online trolls now? I'm kidding. But seriously, it's a good reminder to, like,
Seek out diverse viewpoints.
yeah, even if they're, like, a little uncomfortable to hear.
Exactly. Challenge those assumptions, those biases we all have.
All right, last one the source highlighted. Conceal your intentions. This one seems to be saying that being too transparent can actually make you vulnerable.
Totally. I mean, imagine you're about to launch this amazing new product.
And your competitor finds out.
Before you're ready, they could totally undercut you, steal your ideas. This law is all about strategic planning, knowing when to hold your cards close to your chest.
Okay, but isn't that inherently, like, deceptive? Where does strategy become manipulation?
Good question. It really comes down to intention, doesn't it? Are you concealing information to protect yourself? Ultimately achieve something positive?
Or are you doing it to
Mislead?
or even harm others?
Right. That's where the ethical consideration comes in.
So, after this whole deep dive into these laws, what's the takeaway for our listeners?
Well, I think it's a bit of everything, isn't it? Like, they're tools, sure.
But they can be dangerous.
Yeah, if used recklessly. They're also warnings, and I think at the very least they're fascinating insights into how people behave.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a different perspective on the world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, suddenly you're more aware of the game that's being played around you.
Whether you choose to play or not.
Exactly. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to, I don't know, maybe pick up the full book, check it out for yourself.
Yeah, it's a thought-provoking read, that's for sure.
See you next time.
See ya.